this man is more Arab than the Arabs. You have to know some African history to know the game he's playing. But if you don't know African history, you don't know his omissions. You don't know his omissions about Ethiopia. You don't know he's left out Bilal. He left out Zayd bin Harith. If you don't know anything about the Ethiopian period of Islam, when Ethiopia saved Islam, then when you leave it out, you don't know it because you didn't know that there was a period when Ethiopia saved Islam. But if you read the Encyclopedia of Islam, the Encyclopedia of Islam said that Bilal was a slave, Zayd bin Harith was a slave. The Encyclopedia of Islam on this point is wrong. Bilal was a lawyer for that day. Zayd bin Harith was a military man. They were both Ethiopians. Why Ethiopians? Why did his rich wife choose two tutors for him, both Ethiopians? Now you got to look at Ethiopian history. Why the fascination for Ethiopia? When the prophet was born, half of Arabia was an Ethiopian colony. But if you haven't studied black imperialism, you don't know this. There was a time when Africans ruled nations and dominated nations. Well, you never read Baldwin's Prehistoric Nations or Drusilla Dungy Houston's work, recently reissued, on the wonderful world of the Cushite Ethiopians. The second chapter, Chancellor Williams' work, The Destruction of Black Civilization, dealing with the southern African origins of Egypt. Look how much you have to know. Now, in his fourth stanza, the fourth session, which was really one of the better ones, dealing with exploitation, he dealt with it pretty well. He opens by downgrading the Western slave trade by 12 million people. Du Bois, in the end of the 19th century, said it was from 60 to 100 million people. The documentation has proven since then that it was at least twice that much. Then the other documentations on the Arab slave trade in a work called Slave Trade in the Indian Ocean prove that one period 35 million Africans were taken out. Then he said there's only 2 million Africans in the Arabian Peninsula. And he asked, where are those Africans? He's safe because most people don't know where are those Africans. Adam Mazaroi, who's known me for 30 years, wouldn't dare stand before me and ask that question. Because I got an answer. I know where the Africans went who are not in the Arabian Peninsula. A lot of them went to India to perform the armies for the Maharajas. A lot of them went to Asia, different parts of Asia. Some went to China. And when the Portuguese came around to East Africa, the Arabs formed a partnership with the Portuguese. And the Portuguese and the Arabs got together, the Omani Arabs, and Ali Mazaroi is an Omani Arab. The Omani Arabs established Zanzibar and made Zanzibar the largest slave trading force in the world. And if you look at the magnolia trees at Zanzibar, each tree represents an African who made the mistake at looking at one of the harem women of the Arabs, because if an African looked at one of the harem women, they'd cut his head off and they'd bury his body, and they would plant a magnolia tree over his body. Every magnolia tree at Zanzibar represented an African who made the horrible mistake of looking at one of those women. If you look at Basil Davison's work, A History of East Africa, look in the index, look at the word Mazaroi. You'll find some information on his family. Now, he wouldn't ask me any question. What happened to those Africans? And there's only 2 million in the Arabian Peninsula now. See, he's whitewashing the Arab side of the slave trade. Now, when the meeting was called by UNESCO on slave trade in the Indian Ocean, they invited 50 Arab scholars. Not one showed up. They don't want to deal with it. And the African who is a Muslim don't want to deal with it. And those who are Muslim in this country don't even know about it and don't want to be told about it. Because they think when they left Christianity, they joined a pure thing that is without fault. I'm not saying leave it. Stay with it. Stay with whatsoever you want to stay with. But realize all Western-oriented religions are faulty. All Western-oriented religions were in the slave trade one way or the other, one time or the other. And all religions that said that God endorsed slavery are liars and hypocrites. No religion and no God ever approved of anybody enslaving anybody. The Quran, and if you doubt it, you can take a copy here and find the passage, says that you can beat your wife, but you have to beat her with a stick only so long. The stick cannot be too large, but you can beat her.
This is Shekhar. I'm so grateful to the IRF that we get this opportunity to ask you some questions. And for the first time, I've seen you, and I'm glad that I can ask you a simple question. I am a businessman, and my only hobby is studying religions. So one of them, obviously, being the Quran. So my question is fairly simple. I really liked what you spoke about Aisha. That was a very wonderful thing that you said. So my question is fairly simple. I'll make it very small. But I really hope that I have the opportunity to cross-question you after you answer me on your answer. Thank you. So we see in Muslim book number 4, number 2127, wherein it says, a part of it that is, he struck me, Aisha, on the chest, which caused me pain. Further down, if you look at Miskat al-Masabi, volume 2, page number 690, repeated again in Muslim book number 9, number 3506, a part of it, I'll just get to the point, wherein Umar is trying to say to the Prophet, or rather trying to make him laugh. He says, Messenger of God, I wish you had seen the daughter of Khadija, where she asked me for extra money, and I got up and slapped her on the neck. God's messenger laughed and said, they are around me, as you see, asking for extra money. Abu Bakr then got up, went to Aisha and slapped her on the neck, and Umar did the same to Hafsa. Now we see something of a pattern coming in. Then if we just jump to Quran chapter 4, verse 34, and those wives you fear may be rebellious, admonish, banish them to their couches and beat them. Now,
if they're disobedient, then don't talk to her. After that, don't share the bed. Then the Arabic word is daraba, means beat her lightly. The Arabic word is beat her lightly, daraba. Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, said, when you beat your wife, you should not beat on the face. Point number 1. Point number 2, when you beat your wife, there should be no mark left on her body. And he gave an example, beating with a miswak. Miswak is toothbrush. In modern way, I will say beating with a handkerchief. Handkerchief. Now, if you beat your wife with a handkerchief, it is symbolic. It is not wife bashing. Wife bashing is not allowed in Islam. Wife bashing means one shot on the face. Hit so hard so that the mark remains. She'll remember you for the next 1 week or 2 weeks. In Islam, wife bashing is prohibited. It is daraba, means beat her lightly. That means first you tell her she's wrong. You admonish her. Don't share the bed with her Ultimatum, last warning, beat her lightly. Hope that answers the question. If you have any counter question, you're most welcome, brother.
Yes, actually 2 points on that. Primarily, the first thing that you said is a daraba, which means basically tapping. And as I understand from the Hans Word Dictionary, it comes from the word idrib. And now, if you look at it, the Arabic word is used in 2 ways. One, to strike up a poem, the word idrib, from which the word darwa is taken out. The first is to strike up a poem, and the second, which is used 12 times in the Quran, is a physical action of striking.
Strike off?
Strike up a poem, or
Strike
second,
up a poem.
Strike up a poem, metaphorically. Second part is the physical action of striking. It's used again in Surah 8:12, wherein it about an angel strike off their heads, strike off the very tips of their fingers. The same word is used. So how can the same word be interpreted there as lightly, but here as
Very good question.
The second part.
Very good question. Very good question.
The second part is that if we come back to Sahih Bukhari, volume 7, number 715, again, the respectable, I truly mean that, respectable woman Aisha, a great scholar, I read about her, narrated, Aisha said that a lady came wearing a green veil and complained to her, that is Aisha, and showed her a green spot on her skin caused by beating. It was the habit at that time for women to support each other, means when they get beaten up, so you support each other. So when Allah's messenger came, Aisha said, I have not seen any woman suffering as much as a believing woman. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes. That was my second.
Religion is a delicate and dangerous subject, and it's even more delicate and dangerous when you're talking to people of African descent. Because where religion is concerned, we are a purist people. We are the true believers. We out-pope the Pope and out-Muhammad. We believe in things in its purest form, and we actually believe things are exactly what they say they're supposed to be. We have a humanity that actually makes us believe that people believe in democracy, and the inventors of it don't believe in it. And we had democracy before they think they invented it. And when they invent a fake version of it and sell it to us, we accept the fake version and neglect the genuine democracy that we have been living all along. Not only democracy, but humanity. We have had a historical fascination for ideas that come from the outside, and this has been our trap. And we have not studied those people who sell us fake trinkets, fake ideals, fake government forms, and rehash our religions that we invent in the first place. Now, all of the elements that went into the making of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam came out of Africa. And you have to distinguish between the elements and the formal organization of the religions themselves. When outsiders, foreigners, took over those elements, organized them for their own political purpose, gave them a name, and began to project them to the world for their political purpose, then the outsider created a religion, but he forgot the African substance, and the African substance was spirituality.